Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Mr. Editor 316 back on YouTube. Sorry for I've been out of YouTube for a long time. I've been very sick. Uh, so I'm still sick, but I decided to make this video because there was one YouTuber who requested to make a double DVD review, and it's on TNA Bound for Glory 2010 and Survivor Series 2001. I'm gonna start off with TNA Bound for Glory 2010, just quickly. On the front cover, you got Jeff Jarrett, Hogan, Sting, which are the legends of TNA today. And on the bottom, you got Mr. Anderson, Jeff Hardy, and Kurt Angle, who are to this generation's icon. And you got some pictures on the back. You got RVD with the 2x4 with the nails sticking out of it that Abyss has been holding for months. You got Kurt Angle doing a suplex from the top rope to Jeff Hardy. The Motor City Machine Guns and Generation Me right here. And you got the three guys beating the crap out of Samoa Joe. Sorry, guys. So yeah, this was I'm not gonna give full details about this pay-per-view, but I have to say that the matches itself were not bad. They were pretty decent. Especially the which match? Abyss versus RVD, the Monsters Ball match. That was pretty interesting. It wasn't the best match, but it was really good. The Motor City Machine Gun versus Generation Me was also good. And this one, the 3-on-2 handicap match, the Pope, Sting, and Kevin Nash versus Jeff Jarrett and Samoa Joe, was another great match. It was pretty good to see Sting and Kevin Nash team up together to go against Jeff Jarrett. So overall, the pay-per-view wasn't bad. It wasn't so good either. Like, out of 10 stars, I'll probably rate this a 6 stars. I think the biggest coup for this whole thing was when Jeff Hardy won the match for the TNA World Title Tournament Finals, and he turned heel. Did not expect that to happen because I've never seen Jeff Hardy as a heel before in the WWE. But I don't recall if he was ever heel in TNA. So it was a pretty interesting. Sorry, it was pretty interesting to see it. So yeah, that's basically it for TNA Bound for Glory. Do I highly recommend it? Not so much, but you should go ahead and check it out. If you saw the pay-per-view, then I suggest you not to get the DVD. But if you didn't, then go ahead and get it, because the pay-per-view was an average pay-per-view. If you're an average TNA fan, as I am, like an average fan, then I suggest that you should watch it. If you should get it, if you haven't watched it. But if you haven't watched it, then yeah, if you have watched it, then you shouldn't get this DVD. Unless if you're a big collector as I am. So yeah, that's basically it for TNA Bound for Glory 2010. Next is WWF Survivor Series 2001. Great pay-per-view. Probably one of my favorite pay-per-views of all time. On the top, you got Team WWF, which is Undertaker, Chris Jericho, The Rock, Big Show, and Kane, against Team Alliance, who consisted of ECW and WCW guys. But the top 5 were Rob Van Dam, Booker T, Steve Austin, Kurt Angle, and Shane. So the basics. I'm just gonna make this plot brief and to the point. Basically, it all started off when Shane McMahon bought WCW, and they had a huge rivalry with Shane and Vince at WrestleMania, and even after that. And then Shane decided to bring in some ECW guys, and then the Invasion pay-per-view started, which replaced Fully Loaded, by the way, and it decided to take over the company, and Shane decided to have Stephanie, the owner of ECW, and they both combined their own team known as the Alliance, who consisted of guys who were in the WWE as well. They consisted of RVD, well, not RVD, but like Kurt Angle, who was in the WWE, Raven, Rhino, Test, and all those guys. and they're trying to eliminate the WWF forever. And in the Invasion pay-per-view, they beat the WWF. And this whole thing got even worse when Stone Cold decided to join the Team Alliance, and it's Kurt Angle as well. And slowly by slowly, WWF was going downwards. And then it came up to Survivor Series where Vince decided that it's all or nothing. If Vince's team loses, then the WWF is out of business. However, if Shade's team loses, the Alliance lose, then the Alliance is out of business. So it was a really huge era, which was known as the Invasion era. Probably one of the best eras of all time. But anyways, that was the basic plot of it. Obviously, you know the WWF won. Other than that, if they didn't win, then they might not be able to be here today. Sorry. On top, you got RVD, The Big Show, Rock, Shane O'Mac, RVD, and Test. No, that's Edge, sorry. No, that's Jericho. Can't recognize it. Anyways, let's just go through the matches. The first match was Christian versus Al Snow for the European title. It was a average match, not a best match, but it was an average match. Christian won the match. Next was Tajiri versus the Alliance Commissioner, William Regal. A really good match. They always put up a good match with William Regal and Tajiri. I don't know why. And this time, William Regal won. Next was a championship unification match. It was a WCW US Champion Edge versus the WWF Intercontinental Champion Test. And the unique thing about this pay-per-view was that whoever had the unification titles will still be applying for a job in either company, whether it was WCW/ECW or whether it's the WWF. And in this one, Edge won the match. It was not a bad match itself. Both guys could relate to each other. They're both tall, they're both blonde, they're both young, they were athletic, and they both have the same unique first names. So yeah, they both had a lot of similarities, and they stole the show in my opinion. It was a really good match. Edge won the match, by the way. This was probably the second best match of the evening. It was a steel cage tag team match for the title unification. It was the Hardy Boys versus Dudley Boys. Great match. Probably one of the top 10 steel cage matches of all time. And it ended up when Jeff Hardy was on top of the cage and he could have just climbed out to win. But instead, he decided to do a swanton bomb from the top of the cage through the table where Devon was. But Devon luckily moved out of the way and Jeff Hardy hit the table. And then they decided to pin him and the Dudley Boys won. So that was pretty much an iconic figure right there. Just when Jeff Hardy was on top of the cage and he decided to sacrifice his own body for the swanton bomb. It was a very cool thing. And I remember watching this as a kid. I was shocked to see this. I never knew that would ever happen. And it did. But that was probably the second best match of the evening. Next was the Immunity Invitational Battle Royal match featuring 22 WCW and WWF superstars. It ended up as Test winning it, so this whole thing started when Scotty Hardy was walking down the aisle, and then all of a sudden Test just knocks him out, and Test takes his replacement, and Test wins the whole thing. So that was really ironic, since he lost to Edge earlier in the evening. And then the six-pack challenge for the women's title: Lita versus Jacqueline versus Trish versus Ivory versus Fight and Molly versus Jazz. That was very good match. Great match. I did not expect Trish to win, and that was her first major win in the WWE. So yeah, that was when Trish won her first women's title, and that was a great match. Great match. And then last but not least, the WWF team versus Team Alliance. It was The Rock, Chris Jericho, Kane, and Undertaker and Big Show versus Steve Austin, Kurt Angle, Booker T, RVD, and Shane McMahon. It was a great match. It was a long match, and a lot of ups and downs in this matchup, but it ended up with The Rock and Steve Austin, which is not very ironic because they had a rivalry earlier on, and it ended up Kurt Angle screwing Austin and having The Rock pin Steve Austin for the 1, 2, 3, and The Rock keeps WWF alive. And that was basically it for Survivor Series 2001, which by the way took place in Greensboro, North Carolina. This pay-per-view was a great pay-per-view. 5 stars, no doubt. Probably one of the best pay-per-views of all time, along with WrestleMania 17 and Royal Rumble 2001, which makes 2001 one of the best years in the WWE, in my opinion. So that's basically it with Survivor Series 2001 and TNA Battle for Glory 2010. I highly recommend you guys to get this DVD. It's probably like 25 bucks off of Amazon, but it's a great DVD. You should definitely get it. You will enjoy it and you'll treasure it, just as how I have. That's basically it. That's all for now, guys. See you guys next time. Peace.